This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting. I'm in Doha, Qatar today. We had the open workouts. I'm joined by KSI's manager and coach here in the hotel. Alexis, we'll start with you. It was all kicking off today between Leon and KSI. KSI trying to wind Gib up at the open workouts. Then Leon started arguing with JJ. What did you make of it when it was happening?
Yeah, I think it's, fair bit of banter going on. I think JJ's bantering Gib just to try and maybe G him up or put him off his game, one or the other. I'm not sure which one, but I think Gib was slightly nervous and bit a little bit, and I think his coach definitely bit as well. But yeah, strange.
Good promotion. What did you make of it, Mems?
I think, to be honest, there's no victim, Both Gib and KSI have both been guilty of poking at each other throughout the last few years. 2 years, maybe. At least last 18 months anyway. And they've both instigated. They've both said subtle things here and there, and then some not so subtle things. So I see some people like twisting narratives. Oh, how can he do this? How can he do that? But it's a case of both of them going back and forth. So naturally, this is what's going to happen. And I think if Gib's going to come and say, hey, I'm going to take your promotion down and put it down repeatedly and insult the promotion as much as he wants to, I have learned to be like, this is great. I've learned to not take things personally because I'm not a fighter. I'm here as a promoter, and I try and figure out a way to make it work for us rather than against us. Right. But JJ, even though he's a CEO and he's got his promoter hat on, he's always going to be a fighter first. And they've had some underlying. They've had a friendship that spans longer than I've known JJ, and they've also had tensions arise over the last year and a half, 2 years. So it's taken on a story of its own, and I think this is going to be the natural progression, and it's one of those things where no one saw this coming, and it's just gradually become what it's become.
I know. It's a good storyline. That's what it's about. Good fights always made for good stories.
A good story is something that's authentic. So even if they're hamming it up towards each other, maybe they're joking around and experimenting to see how far they can each take it. And then, that's how wars start. Wars either start from a place of over love, or they start over greed, or they start over misunderstandings. And I think this one might be the latter. It's been one misunderstanding, but then the next person retaliates a little bit, pushes it a little bit more, then the other person goes back and blah, 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 and it is what it is,
Leon said you had Gib in 20-ounce gloves. I remember you telling me a while back you guys had it's all even equipment, even gloves, even rounds. So you just start from the beginning then. KSI and Gib both walk into the gym.
Yeah, that sounds like a joke. Yeah, I mean, look, JJ told me that Gib called him up and was like, wanted to get some rounds in. Gave him like 2 days notice. I was like, listen, you haven't got a fight coming up, you just give him a couple of rounds. We'll see what it's like. If he's worth sparring more, we'll do more. I'll have a couple of smaller guys on standby. We're all doing lots of rounds that day, and we'll see how it goes. He comes in wearing, Gib brings a smaller pair of gloves. We've got the same gloves for everyone, so there's no one's got an advantage or a disadvantage.
What did he come in with, 12s or?
He came with 14s, but everyone in the pro gym would tell you that, you wouldn't spar in 14s, you spar in 16s, 18s, and that sort of stuff. If you've got really big fighters, guys that, you don't want to get injuries, you'd put them in bigger gloves. We sparred in 18s that day, actually, not 20s. But what we don't want to do is, we don't want to have an injury in a cut in a spar that's going to take us out of the fight, which has happened loads of times. So we'd always make it safe. That being said, they sparred first. So Gib and JJ sparred first. Like I said, I hate talking about these sort of things, but being put on the spot, Leon even messaged JJ after the spar saying, "There are levels, bro. You're amazing. It was great." It wasn't that relevant. JJ hit him when he wanted to hit him, rocked him, pulled back the power, did a couple of rounds. I said jump out. There's no need to hit the guy anymore. He wasn't. He was a bit smaller than us. He was a bit underpowered, and he took a bunch of shots.
He had a fight coming up with McBroom, didn't he? That's why.
So exactly. So I was like, I did what any coach would do, which was look after him. And was like, I pulled him back out. I gave him a guy who fights at 60. You know, another. There was a bunch of MMA fighters there, but he's a boxer. The guy actually sparred, who fights at 61 kilos. So that's like, that's 145 pounds.
No, that's 135.
135 pounds.
Yeah, 133 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, 135. Sorry. Yeah. So it wasn't like I gave it. You know, it wasn't a shock thing. He wanted 5 rounds. He was like, I want to do 5 rounds. I was like, okay, we'll do the first 2 with JJ. See how it goes. JJ was way too much for him. So you do what any coach does. You just move the sparring around. It was for Gib. It wasn't for JJ. So Gib asked for sparring and said, yeah, I'd love to spar JJ and a couple of other guys. I was like, sure. Put him with another kid that moved him around. I think he wanted one more with JJ, for JJ not to throw any power on him at all. JJ pieced him up, didn't get hurt, didn't put any power on him. And that was it. And no one complained. Everyone was cool afterwards. Everyone was messaging each other saying, great spar, JJ, you've improved loads. There are levels to this. There was no heist. There was nothing. It's not how we would do a business or anything. I understand there's publicity to it. And I understand you're trying to cause a drama. But realistically speaking, Gib was looked after really well in the gym. He's a nice guy. I've got respect for him. No one was shock tanked. He asked for the rounds that he got, and he was looked after. And there was zero issue. And everyone, it's been years, so I don't really. I get this. To be honest with you, he looked a bit stressed today. He looked, a fight's come up. He looks like he's under pressure. He looks like he's, I think maybe he feels like he's fighting the boss and he's fighting Slim. He looked like he was a bit. There was nervous energy there. And I think maybe his coach wanted to just like G him up and be on his side. And I don't know, but that's how it went down. And so.
So the thesis of a spar is KSI was dominating Gib. You pulled Gib out, and you gave one of the lighter guys to help Gib out, move him around. Yeah,
Gib asked for rounds. He asked for a bunch of rounds. We said we'll give him JJ, and there'll be other bodies there if he wants them. It was his choice to do them. He took some heavy shots. It was a whitewash. JJ didn't get hit. It was easy. It was as I thought the spar would go, and then he jumped out and sparred a lighter guy, which was, he got the work that he wanted out of it. He was really appreciative. And then they messaged each other, and he said, well done, JJ, levels, amazing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the banter was about, unless it's just hype. Didn't make much sense.
So then why has it been coming out all throughout this week about how it's gone a little bit differently, Mums?
What's gone differently?
The spar, how Leon was describing it today.
Well, I think he said the same thing, except Leon says that a proper spar is 5 rounds or something. But listen,
you can't do a proper spar if someone's getting hurt. Like if someone's getting beaten up.
So Gib was getting hurt. Okay, like it's KSI.
Yeah, if I was sparring Mams and Mams was beating the crap out of me, I would hope that my coach would be like, "Yo, hang on, let's move around a little bit. Let's get another guy in there. Let's take him out. Maybe he's a bit too good for you. Move around." It's just normal what you do in a gym. Like I wouldn't keep sparring Mams if he was beating me up for 5 rounds and my coach watching me and he was brain dead in me and I've got a fight coming up. That would just be super stupid. So there'd be no reason to do it. So I think we all did the right thing. We were looking after each other, and that's just the way it went down. There's zero. It didn't go any other way other than what I'm saying. Just categorically.
About that.
I think it's more of an American thing. Yeah, even pro boxers in America, they reveal what happens in spars a lot more than they do in the UK. It's almost a cultural thing. You see Rolly Romero sparring against Jahan Ingram, and it's captured on camera, and they release the footage. It's not the time-honored tradition of keeping a spar, and what happens, and it stays. That's kind of faded away over time. So it's this new generation they're growing up in a different under a different rule set, under a different mindset. So the story has been told, and you're gonna get KSI with his villain hat now, and he's let's face it. I think Slim versus Gib versus Slim has been a long time coming. We all know and we expected a certain build-up. But Gib chose the pathway of being the Stone Cold Steve Austin of Misfits.
Right.
And saying, I'm going to take on Misfits. I'm going to bankrupt Misfits. Misfits fighters are nothing. I'm going to burn it to the ground like I've done to the other promotions and all that, which is great. Fine. but then you're poking at JJ. So of course you should expect a response. But that's the storyline that Gibb was going for. And the reason it's resonating and the reason it's kind of turning into what it is because there's some underlying truth in what each person is saying about each other. So there's obviously some built-up resentment between the guys, and it's just materializing. It is what it is. I think the seeds have been sown, and this is what you're going to get. In terms of, there's going to be low blows between them, and they're going to say stuff. And I think Gibbs should definitely be focusing on Slim, but there was a little bit of a lull in the promo. And when KSI saw that and saw that Gibbs going for Misfits, he stepped in and is hyping the fight up and bringing more attention to it, essentially. So even though he's doing a job as a promoter in an unconventional way by being himself, people want to see that because it's gauging a reaction of love. Oh, I love JJ, I support him, or I hate him. How can he do this? He's betraying his friend. But they've both betrayed each other many times at this point. So I don't think there's a matter of let's be loyalty. Let's let there be loyalty. And look, honestly, I'm a sucker for a happy ending. I'd love them to hug and make up, but also at the same time, as a boxing promoter, taking my emotions and what I would like to happen between them or anyone else. This is great. It's great entertainment. So I don't have a dog in the fight in terms of I'm not invested in KSI and Gibbs' friendship, and I'm not invested in them having a feud. But if I put my business hat on, this story is writing itself. No one's pushing them to, hey guys, can you go at each other a little bit more? It's not happening. It's organically turning into what it is. And at the same time, if they do hug and make up, which I hope they do, even if it's not tomorrow or whatever, they do have some history. If that comes to fruition, that'll be a nice thing too.
I doubt tomorrow or on Thursday they'll hug and mate up, knowing Misfits. But if Gibb does win, is that a fight you'd want to make? Him and KSI? Just seen the hype, how it's been this week.
KSI has his own pathway right now, and we're focused on another fight. We've said big names only. And I'm not saying Gibbs not a big name, but KSI's got a big name ahead of him. I think that's the task at hand. And in the meantime, in the shadows, if things keep brewing and it makes sense, then that's for them to decide.
Okay, makes sense then. As far as you guys go, who are you backing? Who do you think is going to win, Slim or Gibb? I would ask Mams, he's a promoter, so you can't predict. For yourself, who you reckon?
Yeah, I think people are forgetting that Slim's obviously got something about him, as in he's got power, he's got a stiff right hand, and Gibb starts relatively slow normally, and he looks a little bit nervous as well. So I think smart money would be on Slim, but I'm going for Gibb.
You changed? Were you picking
No. I was always Gibb. Only because I just think potentially, and don't get me wrong, I like Slim a lot, and now I hope he wins. But I'm backing Gibb because I think that after a certain amount of time, after 4 or 5 rounds, he might wear him a bit differently. He's a bit more tenacious. He hopefully moves out of the way, with some of his head positioning. I don't know what he's been working on, but judging by how Slim fights, and he's been more active, smart money would be on Slim. Yeah. But who do I want to win? Who's going to win? 2 different things.
Yeah.
Wait,
the head
would be on Slim or on Gibb?
Slim.
Oh, really?
Yeah, smart money's on Slim, but I want Gibb to win. It's just the lack of activity from Gibb. Obviously, there's a height and reach, and also you've got to remember as well, he does get hit quite regularly, and he does fall down. And Slim hits people, and they don't tend to get back up again. So you're just going on what historically has happened. But I think it's a barn burner of a fight. Like you're not going to have people looking at those 2 kids are not going to be boxing and looking at each other. Gibb only goes one way, and Slim only goes one way. So you're going to have fireworks. It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, certainly. It's good to see Mrs. last show of the year, and very, very hyped indeed. Anything else you want to add, Mams, before we wrap this up?
No, I think it's such an exciting fight. It's a really, really big fight, and it'll have its conclusion come Thursday. The whole card, absolute banger after banger. And Deji and Dawood Savage as well.
Certainly. Anything else you want to add Before we wrap this up, Alexis, are you happy on meal?
No, no. All is good. I'm looking forward to the show. I think Qatar's been amazing. Unbelievable country, unbelievable hosts, and the show, the setting of the show, the caliber of the fighters that are on it. I think it's setting a precedent for Misfits. I think it's one of the better shows that they've ever put on. I think that it's now bringing out the kind of athletes that you want. People are now dying to get on Misfits. The amount of messages we get all the time. I just want to get on Misfits. I want to get on Misfits. You've got pro boxers now that are legit. Like WBC, IBO, like WBO. Good boxers are asking me, how do I get on Misfits? It's massive. So I think that doing shows like this in places like this is what's going to make the brand and set everyone onto that next level. So looking forward to it.
No, certainly it's good. Good to see you, guys. I do appreciate it. Tracked you both into the hotel, but yeah. Oh, one more thing. You were saying you wanted to move to Qatar. You like it this much?
No, I love where I live. I'm just saying that it would be nice to have maybe a holiday home or something here, because it's so clean and it's so beautiful, and people are very nice and hospitable, and I love the architecture, and there's a horseshoe building. Have you seen it? It's shaped like a horseshoe. Sick.
Have you gone to see the horses yet?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
The royal horses.
You going?
Yeah, sounds amazing.
All right, well, guys, thanks very much. That's great.